Hello, everyone. My name's Shane Kanto, and welcome to my show here on my YouTube channel. And I'm getting a chance to have a special interview here with some of the creators behind Shudder show Slasher, Flesh and Blood. And we have Aaron Martin here, the creator and executive producer, Ian Carpenter, our showrunner, and Adam McDonald, who's our director. So I appreciate all of your time and you all coming on the show today.
Thanks.
So to talk a little bit about the show, at least to get started, this is a show exclusively from Shudder, and it's streaming now, and the new season just launched. And I guess to start with Aaron, our creator here, what inspired the creation of the show?
Well, this season, I was inspired by spending Christmas with my family a couple of years ago. And as much as I love them, by the time I'd spent a week with them, I wanted to kill them, as everybody does. And then, we were given development money for a new season. And I thought, what if we took that feeling that everybody understands and actually make it happen?
So, it's a very relatable thing that I think all of us have probably felt at some point. So at least there's that way to connect with the show right away. Now, I guess for Ian and Adam, how did you both get involved in the show and inspired you to get involved in this process? I guess we can start with Ian.
Well, I like, actually, Adam, I like the way you tell the story, the way it starts. We went, they had a screening, a special screening of the pilot of the first season. And we both knew Aaron. I had worked with Aaron and for him many times. And Adam and I were pals that were sort of like Adam's always been on a horror kick. He was getting me back to it. And I was like, well, this is happening. Let's go. We got to go see it. And so we did watch the pilot of the very first season, loved it. And then, we're kind of sitting around and going like, oh my God, can you imagine if we could work on something like this? And then cut to several years later, season 3 is happening. And I have an interview, get the job. And I hear that at the exact same time, Adam and I are really close friends. At the exact same time, they've been chasing Adam as a director, neither of us knowing that this was happening. So I think we both found out within 4 days of each other that we'd gotten it. And, we were thrilled.
That's awesome. And yeah. I guess, Adam, if you have anything to add there.
Well, it was great. It was really fun for me because I made a film called Backcountry, and then, I didn't know Aaron would see it. I had no idea. But then a friend of mine, Anuka Okuma, who was in the first season, said she saw the premiere, I think in LA, Aaron, if I'm wrong, all together. And she calls me, she's like, Aaron, sorry?
Oh, it was at Tori Spelling's house. It was very exciting.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know that. That's great. And then Anuka calls, I don't know, she goes, Aaron Martin went on and on and on about she loved Backcountry. And I was like, oh, wow. Like that really, so eventually he came to me and said, would you like to maybe take a look at doing maybe a slasher season? I'm like, yeah. So I went out and I pitched and sometimes you go to job meetings and you just like, man, you just hope you get it and you're so full of passion for it. So it was easy because I was a fan of the show. But that's how I got involved.
Awesome. And it sounds like you all are very passionate about this. And I got a chance to watch some of the beginning of the season, and very much so that awkward, uncomfortable family dynamics, and then throw in some blood. And now thinking about why this show is something that people should go out to see, I would like to hear from each of you. What do you feel like is the biggest thing about this new season that makes this a must-see series on Shudder?
Well, for me, it's. I mean, obviously, Shudder's fans are fans of horror, and they're going to love all the the gnarliest kills that we've done across the series. There's some really insane ones that are coming up. But if that's not your the thing that you love a good mystery. The show's as much of a murder mystery as it is a slasher movie. So we try to put something in there for everybody. You can look away when the slasher stuff's happening, but you can keep watching it for all the emotional soap stuff.
And I think to add to that, I mean, it's a very clear draw that we are as excited about as the fans presumably are, is, you know, we have David Cronenberg in the show. And it is not some little tiny walk-on part. It's huge, it's pivotal, it's to whatever extent, courtesy of flashbacks, it's throughout the show. And it's a big, juicy role that requires a lot of them. And, you know, and a huge emotional range and all that kind of stuff. And people have been responding to that. I mean, I've had fans that have been like, you know, writing to me and going like, you know, when he's screaming and yelling, how scared they are and all that. And anyway, we're in love with it, love with him. And it was, you know, he just brings something really great and subtle and fun to the part.
Awesome. How about you, Adam?
I would say I don't think there's anything on streaming or television like it. I'm a fan of horror. I digest horror all the time, and it's something really unique to Aaron's writing, to Ian's writing, and I don't think their imaginations match, to be honest, because it's so extreme. So you get to these great character developments, these great arc for these characters, and when some of them meet their demise, it's like the Agatha Christie novel goes complete martyrs horror craziness, and I just think it's so unique. So I think there's a lot for everybody to enjoy.
Awesome. And I know after watching some of the show already, I was pretty excited, and seeing David Cronenberg in there was definitely something that got me super excited. Now, I know, Aaron, you had mentioned spending some time with the family was a bit of an influence on this show, but what are some maybe other films or series that you all drew inspiration from to put into this new season?
Well, it's actually not something you think about when you come to horror, but early on in the pandemic, when we were locked down up here, I started rewatching a lot of old movies, and I kept watching Douglas Sirk films, and they're so, in a great way, highly melodramatic. They're beautiful. The way that they're shot is almost theater-like. And so when we were talking about it, I was like, what if we make this season like a Sirk movie and try to juxtapose that beautiful and classic look with, you know, horribly bloody murders?
I could definitely see that inspiration there, especially in that first episode. How about you, Ian?
It's great.
It's, you know, I don't know how much, it's funny. I've gone back to rewatch a bunch of stuff lately, and two things have been there. And I go, afterwards, I've gone, oh, are these informing what's going on? And so the two things for me are, one's a series, one's a movie. Marianne, which for me is the scariest series out there. It's the only series that ever has scared me and made me like pause and you know, my wife and I are both going like, holy smokes, and taking a breath. And the craft in that movie is so good, so top notch. It's amazing what they do with sound, with the direction. And you know, I think we're really, you know, plug your ears, Adam, but I think we're really blessed to get to work with Adam 2 years running now. Like, I really do think he is, you know, he has a unique connection to the camera. Like, there's not a director out there working in the genre that is more viscerally connected to the camera, even when we're doing something like Adam is talking about, you know, defined by Sirk's approach, which is a very different, there's a sort of stillness. And as we pivot this season, I watch, you know, Adam work with that, and there's not an unloved frame. There's not an unloved scene. He's just bringing a sort of dexterous kineticism to everything. And then the other film for me, the other thing is The Invitation, which I know is a film Adam and I both love like crazy. And I think there's something there really that Aaron birthed in the early seasons of a film that the horror lives in character. And I think this is what Adam and I, as we were brought onto this, are chasing and celebrating with Aaron. Is the guy is a great inventor of character, amongst many other things. And, you know, I can see when I look at both those projects, I go, have those been, because I saw them between doing Solstice and this, and I find myself wondering, were they dribbling in here as we did it?
Awesome. I'm a huge fan of The Invitation, sitting somewhere up there.
Yeah.
But how about you, Adam?
Yeah. Well, to echo what Aaron said, when Ian and Aaron said, you know, some of our inspiration this year is the look of Douglas Sirk, I got excited for that juxtaposition of the horror to go along with it. But even to like, instead of the aesthetic alone, the craftsmanship of his films, he would do these dolly handoffs a lot and use mirrors a lot that got me really inspired. So I went through the whole season and picked moments where, you know, I'd be in a room for one of the scenes. I said, I want a mirror here. They'd be like, why? I was like, just watch. So we like pull, turn, put, and then there the person was for a certain reaction. And that was an homage to Cirque and what Aaron and Ian were inspired by. So I got really excited about that and using the crazy handheld along with that to like using the camera to feel what the character's feeling a lot of the time. Like there is a character in the show that is only shot, your coverage is only in handheld, no matter what we're doing, as almost like a hint to their personality. But aside from that, I know he did Last Summer a little bit, Martyrs, always with the French Extremity. And again, Marianne, there is, Ian and I absolutely love, and I'm from Quebec, like French, right? So I love it on many levels, but I homage in one scene, I homage directly to that as like a thank you. So, yeah.
Awesome. I definitely have some things to add to my watch list then.
And it's great.
Sounds like a lot of great things coming out of the show. And I can definitely say after watching the first episode, it definitely got me hooked. And as a subscriber of Shudder, I really appreciate watching the new show. And I thought this would be a fun little question to wrap up with each of you is, what's your favorite horror film?
I mean, the one that I guess the one that really made me feel uncomfortable in the last 10 years or so was The Strangers. And it wasn't that it was even that gory or anything. It just was the feeling of dread that was consistent throughout that movie. And then the end of it's just so bleak. So that was the movie I keep going back to when I talk about horror movies that I love.
Awesome. You know, when something gives you that kind of feeling, it's lasting, that'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mine, I mean, the one I've watched the most is Evil Dead. I've talked about that many times. I know it's the same with Adam, and I can feel it. I mean, I really feel it with what Adam does. And actually, we have a beautiful reference in this season. But my favorite is Dario Argento's Opera, and that movie for me just feels and felt extreme in a very stylized way. I cannot believe the insane directorial invention in it. Like I think about that gunshot through the eye hole and cutting to inside the eye hole and watching a bullet travel along it. Like it's so insane. And then as a former theater guy, the fact that the whole thing revolves around opera and has these sort of incredible, you know, exaggerated but beautiful orgiastic performances. Oh man, that movie for me is just so special.
I'm a huge fan of Argento as well, and recently just watched a screener for a new film, The Last Matinee, which is heavily influenced, and there's even a opera poster in the background. I'm like, I caught that reference. So there you go. How about you, Adam?
Maybe categorize Evil Dead is always a cornerstone for me. So I usually, you know, it's Evil Dead. But my favorite film of all time, which is also a thriller and could be categorized as horror, is The Chaser, a Korean film that, I mean, rocked me. I've seen it so many times, and I think it's an amazing movie. So it's scary. It's more of a thriller. But I have to say horror, I'd say The Evil Dead, their first one.
I know I remember watching The Evil Dead for the first time and just being blown away by it. And there's a fun little documentary out, Hail to the Deadites, for all of you Evil Dead fans out there, if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out. But this was a great talk. I know didn't have too much time, but I really hope everybody who checks this out goes check out Slasher Flesh and Blood. It's a great show. It's an exciting time for horror. Go right over to Shudder. It's streaming right now. And I want to thank Aaron, Ian, and Adam for all of your times. And I really appreciate getting a chance to talk with all of you.
Nice, great time.
Thank you very much.